Peace and blessings. I am Regina, and welcome to my happy place, Diva G's Reborns. We are here with our baby Onyx. Our baby Onyx. Finally, I have decided on the hair that I would like to root on our baby Onyx. As you can see, you remember on the last video, I did do some mapping of our baby Onyx. Now today, what I would like to do, because I'm up to this portion, because I have various dolls at different states of completion. So what I will do today is I will fill our baby Onyx limbs and body so that once the hair is rooted and sealed and everything is dry, we can go right on ahead and put our baby Onyx together on the body. So, what I like to use is, well, of course, we have the body that our baby Onyx came with from, excuse me, Trueborns. Very beautiful body. Now, we want to first fill the limbs. We take a look at the limbs, how lovely they look. Look at those beautiful toes, the lovely blend, the fade from the chocolate down into the sole of the foot, around the heel. Okay, our beautiful colors creasing. Excuse me. The same beautiful toes, the bottom of the foot, the blend, the subtle shift in the color. The beautiful deep colors on the kit, creating that realism that our melanated babies do have. And the hands, the fingernails, the coloring around the palm of the hand going into the color on the kit, on the hand. Same thing with the thumbs, the fingers. You can see that beautiful fade. The palms of the hands. You can see a little bit of that lightness. Not much, but a little bit of that lightness because you take into consideration the anatomy of the kit. And I'm reaching for the hooks that I have up here. And we have the other arm. You can see beautiful color, the depth of color, the beautiful transition, the lovely fade, not a harsh line, but a beautiful fade. Same thing here and with the fingers. You can see the nails being tipped, the color around the nail beds, the color on the hand. We see all of those things that look quite nice. And I want to take out the what I use to fill my body with. I'll show you. I like to use these fine glass beads. They are soft and they are quiet and they do not have any sharp pieces to cut through the vinyl. And I'm not leaning on the baby. It looks like it, but I'm not. So these, and I have everything listed. I have everything linked in the description. I have so many things linked in the description. Now, because it's challenging to lift that container, I just have this container, and this and I fill it with the glass beads, and this is usually the amount that is needed for me to fill a baby the way I would like. And I keep certain things in here while I'm pouring because I don't want to get any glass beads anywhere they are not supposed to be. I also have my little smell goods that I would like to put inside the baby. Okay. And just one moment. So here is the body, this beautiful body. Okay. And I like to also use, excuse me, to add weight to the baby. I like to use BB pellets. They're heavier, and so you can use fewer of these to get the weight inside the body that you would like. And you don't have to use as much of the fine glass beads in the body because the fine glass beads, they really don't have that much weight. They have some weight, but not a whole lot. Excuse me. So the first thing that I work with I work with the legs. So I also have my polyfill here. What I do, excuse me, for the body, trueborns, when they send the body, not only are the zip ties threaded through, which I believe most of the companies do that as well, have them threaded through, but they also have it connected through here. So you can see. Oh, look how lovely my nails look, my press-ons that I create myself. You can see the magnetic color shift. So this is the body. Now I'm going to fill the legs first. I like to use a funnel. And when I fill the leg, let's see if I can go down. See? Okay, when I fill the legs, I like to fill up a little bit just above the knee. Okay, what happens is when you have the glass beads here, it feels almost like the bone in the leg. And then as you get up here and you put the polyfill, it will feel more like kind of like flesh, like fat. So it feels more cuddly. So that's what I like to do. And so you want to be very mindful with your glass beads. You don't want to get them anywhere other than exactly where you want them on in your kit, because they are they're difficult to clean up because they're just like sand. So they're kind of like sand. So what I do is I just kind of, you know, put them in different things so that I can maybe hopefully pour successfully. And I hold. Okay. Okay. Let's see. And then I'm gonna pour it in. Um, I pour it inside of the box while I'm pouring because I don't want any mishaps. So if it goes anywhere, it will go inside this box. And then I place the glass beads inside the box. I tap the funnel, and I tap the kit itself, and I squeeze the legs in the foot to be sure that the glass beads are going all the way down there. And you can kind of see the beads, meaning that they are right about here where I want them to be. So I'm just making sure that they are all the way down and that I like the location. Now I will take my polyfill. Again, I have everything linked, and um, there is no hard fast rule on how heavy you make your baby. It's in a sense a preference. I tend to like my dolls to be a little bit heavy, closer to feel like a realistic baby weight. Now the thing with that is the dolls obviously are not human, so when we weight them, they are actually dead weight. So they will feel much heavier, even though we may weigh them between, 5 and maybe 7 pounds. But they do feel heavier than that. Now I'm stuffing the legs, and of course, I'm going to do the arms and the body, and I still have to do the head. Now, I like a heavy head because I like the head to feel floppy. And that's just, my own kind of preference. Now the head, because this is a newborn, I would make it floppy. If, when I get ready to do the toddler, um, that won't be the case because a toddler would be able to hold their head. So now I'm just feeling, and believe it or not, it takes quite a bit of stuffing to get the doll, the limbs to feel firm, because you want them to feel firm and soft, and you also want this to keep the glass beads inside. Now, once you put these glass beads in, they are good. They're not going to come out. They're not going to come out. Now, the other bodies that come from Bountiful Baby, their bodies, and you'll see me use those, are closed here. And but you still have the opening for the arm, but the inside part of the body is closed, which is quite nice, so you don't have to really concern yourself um, with if the glass beads are going to come out or if you need plugs or rings. Now, I don't use plugs or rings in order to achieve the turn on the body that I like. I use the Aleen's paper glaze, and you can see how nicely shiny it is around the rims and the flange, but it's not on the skin. I'm going to fill the other leg. In the very same way. And this may or may not be interesting to see. However, I said that this series was going to be from, the beginning all the way to the completion of the kit. So I'm striving to be true to my word with that. Okay, and we have the glass beads. Ooh, let's see if you can see it. You see the glass beads are in fact right about here. Now the stuffing, again, this is polyfill, and this again makes the baby feel nice and slightly firm, but yet cuddly. So, and this polyfill happened to have come with this little pusher, so I use that. If I did not have the pusher, that little, I would use the back of the toothbrush that I use for the hair. I would maybe use this to just be able to push, to pack the polyfill in, because you do want the polyfill to be packed in firm, to, not moving at all. You want it to be nice and firm because remember, it's also holding the glass beads in place. Now, some people, they use a calculation to make this limb that amount of weight, and that the other, that they do that. I don't do that. What I find is once I fill the limbs to the level that I made mention of, the baby tends to come out to be the weight that I would like it to be. And that's the thing. Now you can do that. You can use the calculations, this and that, and what have you, but I don't do that. So I'm going to show you how deep inside. Okay. All right. And I'll just put just a slither more. Not a whole lot, because but I just want it to be nicely packed in there. And the so this leg feels very nice and firm. Now for the arm, I will go up to about here, just above the elbow. And it's the same process. I like to use the funnel, and I have different size funnels, just in case if I have a doll that has smaller armholes. But so far, this is working out for this doll. I think I need some more glass beads. are too many. Okay, no problem, no worries. I want to make sure that it's down in the hand. That probably was not too much. It probably wasn't. I just didn't have it all the way down, and you know, the glass beads had not yet settled in the hand. But that's okay. And I don't know, this video may seem that it's long filling the limbs. Now, for someone who's already reborning, you know, experienced to reborning, this may be something that you're not as interested in. But if there is someone that is following the series and it is their first video that they're watching, or they have some questions about, you know, how to fill or what have you, I think it's always good to see, in a sense, the entire process and to just kind of see that. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure how much I have in here, because I want the arm to feel firm, you know, in this portion. However, up here to feel a little bit cuddly, which is the reason why, like I said, I'll go up to about here with the glass beads. Now, because this hole is very small, I definitely need my assistance of this to get the polyfill in and deep. Okay, so there is some there now. And filling the limbs, it, depending on the size of the kid's limbs, it can be challenging, and you just take your time and you go, you know, you just go through with it. I'm being mindful that I'm being mindful that I want the glass beads to remain inside. Now, some people, they take felt pads and they go over it to keep it closed, and that's good. You know, it's a preference. Now, I don't do it that way, because I find that once I have the polyfill in here appropriately, nothing's coming out. Some people use the plugs and rings, you know. I don't use those either, because they make the arm feel bulky, and the kit feels very bulky with those generally, so I don't use those. And sometimes when you you know, do things to seal over this, or to use the rings, the plugs, if someone wants to re-weight the doll, sometimes it's difficult to get those items off, and it could cause the kit to become damaged. So, you know. So I think like just taking my time with filling the limbs, making sure that the polyfill is nice and packed, nice and tight. And I'm pushing it, but I'm being mindful because I don't want to, you know, rip through the vinyl. But I do want it to be nice and firm. So it feels nice. Very nice. And again, how firmly someone, how high someone fills the limbs with with the glass beads and polyfill. It's all individual, you know. I mean, again, like I said, there is no hard and fast rule on how much to use, or the main one of the thing is you just make sure that you have it in the hands and the feet, because otherwise, you know, they'll collapse, and that's not what you want, you know. So making sure it's going in the fingers. Now there are different grits of glass beads that can be used. The thicker the grit, excuse me, sometimes it's not, you know, it will, you may hear a crunchy sound in the limbs. And, you know, now once you fill the limbs all the way and you put the polyfill in, you shouldn't hear anything. But if the grit is, you know, if the beads are larger, you might hear it. So there are a number of places that you can get polyfill from. And like I said, I do have that listed. Some listing in my description. Now you can also, of course, Google it, or you can ask me a specific question in the comments if you have a question. I do enjoy questions and comments, or, you know, even if you just say hi, I enjoy that too, because I enjoy being able to interact with you. And this part, in a sense, it may look boring, but it's exciting because that means that your baby is, you know, really just about all done. Sometimes I have waited until after, you know, I rooted the baby and the hair, you know, the hair is sealed and everything, and then put the baby completely together at one time. And that's fine, you know. But since like I said, I'm at various stages of completion with a few different dolls, I wanted to get Onyx on her body and that will afford me the ability to sit her up on a shelf and to look at her. I won't cut her zip ties until I have her head on. And then when I clip her zip ties, the last zip tie that I will clip will be her head, and then she would be considered born. So I'm making sure to get in nice and tight. And the thing is, sometimes when you're reborning, if you have a number of dolls that are ready to, you know, their limbs are dry, their body is ready, you have the components, you can put them together and just have them sitting on a shelf so that when you are ready to put the head on, it goes just that much quicker. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close up my glass beads. See, we used about half the amount. We used about half. And we have plenty more if we need. Now I'm going to just put this a little bit over to the side. On this side here. Now I'm going to put the legs on so that we can begin to sit our baby up. Now you want to be certain that, it may sound simple, but you want to be certain that you're putting the limbs on in the correct direction. So in this particular body, there's rouging in the chest. Okay, so I know that's the front. And there's rouging in the bum. Okay, and this body is very nice because the rouging also is elasticized, so that's kind of nice. Now I'm putting the legs in place, and I'm just going to tighten around. I'm putting it, the body needs to go into this part. The body needs to go into this part. Okay, so, and what I'm going to do is I'm not going to tighten it all the way because I want to be sure that, you know, I have the movement that I desire for the leg. And again, like I said, since I'm not going to cut the zip ties right now, if I needed to take it loose, to just pull it out, I could pull it out. And let's say I wanted to add more stuffing or take stuffing out, I still have the ability to be able to do that. So again, we want this portion to go in here. Okay. And then you would just kind of pull it a little bit. And again, like I said, I'm not pulling it completely tight because I want to keep it a little bit open just in case if I want to do something, add or take away, which I doubt, but you know, I will do that. Now for the bum, okay, what I like to do is in the center here and here, I like to make sure that I have stuffing that's right there. Right there. Okay. there in that kind of seat area will be considered the perineum area. So I want to have that cushion that there. Okay, so I'm putting it where I'm stuffing is, I'm pushing the cotton, it's going like right in here. Okay, maybe I can turn it that way, you might see it a little bit better. Okay, so now I have that in between there. Now we want to give our baby a nice bum. So what I like to do, I like to take the polyfill and kind of compress it around, kind of like that, and put it in the cheeks. One ball in one cheek, and I try to take about the same amount and put in the other cheek. So we have, baby has a little bit of a bum. Now, it's not going to look like you know, that the baby had what do you call it? A BBL or whatever like that, because we're going to fill the sides and the belly area too. So now I'm going to fill kind of like toward the belly in the front. Okay. Belly. Now a little bit on the sides. Now, of course, you know, I will be tweaking it as I go. I'm just kind of, so what I'm doing is I'm also creating a pocket for the weight that I will be putting in the doll. I usually like to put weight kind of like in the middle, like in the abdomen area, kind of like in the belly area. And I like to also put some kind of like in the chest area. And that's just, you know, my own little kind of preference of how I like to stuff and weight the baby. I'm making sure that that there's cotton here, polyfill in here, so that when the weight is there, it's not something that you feel. You just feel a sense of the baby having some weight, but you won't feel the BB pellets and the glass beads. Now, not everyone uses the BB pellets. It's not necessary. You know, I like it. I've seen another reborn artist use it, and I like the idea that you can use fewer BB pellets than the glass beads. And you can make a baby feel heavier and not have to use quite as much. Now, when I use the BB pellets, I don't use trouser socks because they're not that, the BB pellets are not that heavy. I mean, they're heavy, but they're not fine. That's what I mean to say. So what I do is I also have sheer knee highs that I buy, that I buy in bulk. And what I'll do is I'll put a certain amount of the BB pellets in. And I think I have some already separated out. Let's see, I think I do. Or maybe I don't. No. So, and some places you can get steel steel pellets that you can use as opposed to the BB pellets. Um, but I have not been able to find steel pellets here in the United States. So, you know, I like using the, and they don't make noise in the baby. Um, I find that they just give a nice weight to the baby. So that's what I like. I like that feeling. And these especially are good for a small baby, like a preemie, because their body is small and you don't want to add too much bulk to them. So if you have something like this, you can put a little bit, and it in a sense would go a long way because it feels heavy. Just a pinch, just a tiny pinch more. I go by the way it feels to me. And I like that weight. And what I'll do is I'm just going to wrap it around, tie a knot. Now for this, I'm not worried about this coming out. So that's why I did not have to use trouser socks or something, thicker. I'm not worried about it coming loose. Um, Now, if I wanted to, I could double it, but I don't see a need to double it. I will just cut it, try to cut it where it looks neat, you know, not necessarily that anybody is going to be looking at it, but if someone wanted to, for whatever reason, reweight the doll, it's nice if things look finished, and not have jaggedy edges. Now the baby feels nice. Now I will take and put some polyfill on top of there. And the thing that you can do when you are reborning, you can fill bodies and not even have the limbs yet on, because you may know about how much weight you want the dolls to have. And you can go ahead and you can save yourself some time and fill ahead. And that way you've saved a bit of time. So now I'm going to put, now you see I have this, this stocking. Okay, that is still good. Now what I'll do is I'll just tie a knot in it, because I will use it for maybe more pellets or something else. But what I would do is I will turn it where that part is on the inside, where it looks a little bit more finished. Now for the glass beads that I'm going to put into the chest area, I will use I will use a trouser sock. Now this trouser sock is a pretty good size. I could also fill this and it could go in the head or the body. But since we're doing the body right now, I'll go ahead and put it for the body. I do hope that you are enjoying or learning something from this portion of what we are showing. Now, if you have an empty container, you can fold it over the container like that and kind of fill it, you know, in that way. Now, these glass beads here, I will put in the head. I could put them in the head or I could put them in the body. You know, either way is fine because they are a little bit larger. I'm going to put them in the body, where we're going to fill the body. Now this is not going to be nearly enough. This won't be nearly enough to give the weight, but you know, it's a start. Now we'll take the other glass beads and add them into here to give some additional weight. And again, how heavy you weight the baby is, you know, your own preference. Or if it's a custom and, you know, the person tells you about how they want the baby to weigh. Now the rest of this, more than likely, will go into the head. I will probably put this bit into the head. Now I like the weight that we have for the body. And like I said, I use a trouser sock for the glass beads because the glass beads are, you know, they're fine, and the trouser socks will prevent them from escaping. Now with the trouser, with the this, there will be a little bit of give to it, just a little bit. So I'm tying it, you see here, and there'll be a little bit of a give. So that in the body, there's that little bit of, you know, kind of like a little bit of a give. And again, you want to be certain that you are wrapping, having the polyfill around. I'm taking my time while I'm showing you. Now the baby has a nice weight, very nice. And I like to put some of the smell good in the body and in the head. So, and I like to use fabric softener beads. The fabric softener beads, they retain their scent for a considerable amount of time. I believe they you know, their scent lasts longer than the wafers. And what I like about the fabric softener beads, um, it's a different smell. It's a different scent. The ones that I like to use, it's a little bit of a different scent. Excuse me, scent. So it's not just like a baby powder scent. Not everyone likes that scent. And you know, if you are making a custom, um, it you know, it's advisable to ask if they have a preference for certain scents or not. If you're listing your dolls, and the doll has a scent, it's wise to include that in the listing, that the doll has a scent, so that you know, a person would know if that is something that they would like or not. This way, uh, as much information that you can disclose to a potential customer, you know, the better, because um, you want them to be satisfied in the same way you would like to be satisfied. So I'm just making sure that we have a nice feeling body. Got a text message. I want to see what that was. Mostly my notifications, oftentimes um, I have them you know, very low, or some of them I have muted. So you see how nicely the baby sits. Excuse me. So now I'm being sure that the chest doesn't feel, you don't feel the weight, and that the baby does fold, you know, can bend, and is going to be certain bit of floppiness. And again, now we will go ahead and we will apply the arms the same way. I want to try to make sure the polyfill is all inside, because it looks unkempt if the polyfill is sticking on the outside. And sometimes customers might complain about that, even though it's simple to just remove it, but nonetheless. Okay. So, and this body that I'm using is um, no, I was going to say it's an ethnic body, but no, it's not. It's lighter than an ethnic body, but generally, once the baby is dressed, it almost doesn't really make a difference. You know, so now the baby is, you know, in a sense put together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to refine. Now, the shoulders, you have to pay attention to the shoulders, because if you do not put the proper amount of stuffing in the shoulders, the baby will look like a turtle, like the head slumps down inside. And so, yeah. What I like to do is put, before I put the head on, to put a good amount of stuffing, and then if I have to take it out after the head is on the body before I cut the zip ties, I can do that and make those adjustments. Now I'm going up pretty high with the stuffing. Now what I will do is I'm going to take one of the pre-made fabric softener beads that I like to use, and I use the thin knee-high to do this because you're not worried about them cutting through. So I put it kind of like toward the middle of the chest, but you're not going to feel it. You'll just smell it. And you don't want the baby to have a round back, you know, but you do want there to be stuffing. And what I'll do is I'll kind of wind some of the polyfill in this way, you know, not in any major way, but I'll kind of wind it so that it kind of makes shoulders. I don't know, just kind of makes shoulders. And you know, it will give the head like a little bit of an anchor as well. Now if we look at the baby looks good. Doesn't look fat. I don't think the baby looks fat. Now you could put less filling, or you know, if you want, the less filling you put, the baby would appear to be, you know, even more floppy. The one thing to consider is over time, some of the stuffing will compress and go a little bit, you know, a little bit down. So you want to, at least I want to have enough stuffing to kind of account for that little bit of change that might happen when it goes flat, you know, when some of the stuffing compresses. Now, the lovely thing about these bodies from Trueborn and as well as from Bountiful Baby, the ruching gives the baby definition. You see, the baby has definition to the buttocks. and looks very nice. Now, like I said, I have this amount of stuffing in. I did not tighten the limbs completely because, like I said, I want to, you know, just give myself the opportunity that if I want to change the weight for any reason, which I doubt, but for any reason, I can do that without having to cut the limbs. Um, so, again, now the smell good is inside. I have it listed what I like to use. I have that also listed in the description, but I will show you also what I like, what I use. And again, there are other things that you can use too. I just like using Dref, which does have a nice baby scent, but it's not like the traditional um, baby powder scent. Now, you may like the baby powder scent, and that's fine. So you would use whatever it is that you like to use. I'm just sharing with you some of the things that I use, um, you know, and um, it might be beneficial to you. It might be something that you would like to implement in your reborning journey or not. I know that I learned from other artists that have been reborning for years, some that have kind of just started reborning, and I find it helpful and interesting to look at other channels, and I just enjoy sharing and supporting others, and just that's what I enjoy being able to do. So I again hope that this was something that was helpful, that was interesting, in a sense was somewhat entertaining. And at a certain point, once we have our baby onyx rooted, we will, attach our baby onyx head, and we'll do that on camera because, like I said, this is a series where I'm going from the start all the way through to um, the completion of the doll. And we started with the introduction, and part of that introduction was selecting how to select the kit, different places that you can go. And this is the other one that I will put in. So, well, I do hope, again, like I said, that you enjoyed this little bit that we shared, and that you will like, comment, subscribe, and share. Tell others about this channel and what we're doing here. And look, you can see Onyx kind of on the body. So enjoy your day. Stay safe. Peace and blessings.